to me, this felt like a movie like a Cameron Crowe or a Jim Brooks movies. Those are my favorite kinds of movies. Part of why I wanted to be a producer was films like, Broadcast News, and I just loved that it had deep emotion and deep comedy to it, and so we set out to get it made, and as Will said, it had a hard journey as every movie does, I guess, these days, but. For me, it's always about the material first. I joke about the size, but whether a piece of material is, lends itself to a big budget or a small budget, kind of comes later. It's whether or not, I see the movie and it's something that I want to work passionately on for years of my life. So, and this really spoke to me.
Rashida and I actually dated for 3 weeks in 1999. It was an ill-fated romance. My sister, Mary McCormack, is a great actress, and she was doing a film with Rashida at the time, and she set us up on a date, and she said that we were going to be soulmates, and we are, and we found out that we were better as best friends and as writing partners, and we don't have to get divorced. So, but, we had both been through dysfunctional relationships with exes that were really hard to interpret, and we didn't want to let go, but we didn't want to move on. And it felt like this sort of relationship purgatory that felt like a lot of people we knew went through. And we thought it would make a good premise for a film. So we had several stops and starts at trying to write screenplays. And then finally we got a little older and I think cared less about what people thought. And I don't think people were thinking at all. They were just like, oh, we're writing a script. They're like, great. So it's Hollywood. Sort of everyone's writing a script, So we didn't have a lot of pressure and we just had a really great working relationship. And we liked the idea, and we didn't think it was terrible. We sent it to Jennifer, who I've known since the Boiler Room. She gave me my first acting job ever out of college. I met her at the audition, and she liked it, and we thought, oh, no, this might be okay. And then we met Lee, and we're like, oh, God, this might be a real movie. Like, Jen and Lee want to work on it, and it took several stops and starts, but we got it made last summer and went to Sundance, sold it to Sony, and now it's out. It opened yesterday. It's totally nuts.
We all sort of agreed that we didn't want to do the postcard version of Los Angeles, but we also wanted to make sure the film felt like it had scope and that we got to see the city. And so I think it was about finding a balance and also about sort of honing in on parts of the city and not trying to do all of L.A. I mean, sometimes you see an L.A. movie and, in 1 minute they're on the Venice Boardwalk and then, 10 minutes later they're supposed to be in Silver Lake and then they're supposed to be in Eagle Rock and then, the Palisades.
So much traffic. How do you
Yeah, exactly. How are you guys getting there with all that
That would take an hour
traffic?
and a half.
Right, exactly. So we were really trying to make it feel like a neighborhood that Celeste and Jesse would have lived in, and the neighborhood their friends would have lived in, and the bars that they would have gone to, and the bars that Paul might have taken Celeste to if he was trying to be cool and do something outside of Westwood, do something a little bit, as he saw it, hipper, as it were. The house that's supposed to be Celeste's house in the film, until 4 days before production, I mean, for months, it was going to be Rashida's actual home because we could not afford to pay for a house.
She couldn't afford to shoot in her own house.
And actually, we couldn't afford to shoot there because West Hollywood.
The permits in West Hollywood are so expensive and so difficult. We had to move to Hollywood.
Yeah, I'm a character actor, and my favorite actors are Harry Dean Stanton and David Strathairn, and the last 10 roles that I've gotten have been really character-y things, and if I could play roles like Skills in movies forever, I would be really, really happy. But Andy had known Rashida for a long time, and Lee was a big proponent of Andy playing the part, and they have a real sort of intimacy that Rashida and I have, and it was just really, really thrilling to watch Andy do this thing for the first time I think Andy's a comic genius, but he's never done something this subtle and simple and nuanced and real. And watching him do it was really, really thrilling, and I was really happy to get the part of Skills. So
I'm a woman. I like to see real women in movies, and I've been talking a lot about how it's interesting when you're developing a studio film, to make a woman likable. The script always has to start with her sort of losing her job, getting dumped by a guy, tripping in high heels. It's like sort of the requisite what you have to do to then be likable and be picked back up and have someone fall in love with you. And it's sort of, the rules that we sadly developed a lot of stories by. And that's what I loved about this, is she felt like such a real character to me. She was so recognizable. I see myself in Celeste. I see my friends in Celeste, and I like that we didn't, I think she is a likable character. I relate to her so much, but I like that we weren't concerned about it, that you were just presenting somebody who felt very real to me.